Hello and welcome back to Wargaming with me, Gary. I found my tripod, which I was very pleased about. My daughter, bless her heart, had picked it up. One of my daughters picked it up when she'd seen the state I was getting at the last wedding, and she put it away. She's taken it home for me. So I'm chuffed to pieces. So I've got my tripod back, very good. I've got my, I don't know if you can see, Game of Thrones t-shirt on. Massive fan of Game of Thrones. Militarily a complete wreck, isn't it? I mean, anybody who knows anything about cavalry tactics know that you don't charge into a wall of spears and shields. Libtards making military films. But having said that, the spectacles are brilliant. I love the battle scenes, look fantastic, pleasing to the eye, but complete rubbish, as I'm sure anybody who's watches any of these go, oh, are you kidding me? Anyway, that's my little ramble about that. What am I? Oh, I've just got back from holiday. Brown, yes, very went to where we go, Lanzarote. Never been there before. We loved it. So when did we go? We went end of October, got back. So today is the what is today? Where's my computer? So that's the 10th of November. So I'm back, second week in November. Lovely tan. It's alright, isn't it? I can't wait to go into work and show it off to everybody. What have I done? Yeah, so that's where I've been. I've been away, so you might have noticed. And because I do several videos at a time, I'm just explaining this. I know I've done it before. I have said this before. But I do several videos at a time. So what I will do, once I finish this one, I will change my t-shirt, or my shirt. And do another video, so that I've got a load of them, like 7 or 8 lined up, so I can just bring them out. So sometimes it might seem that I'm a little bit behind with the times, which anybody who knows me would probably agree. I am a little bit behind with the times, but that's why the videos seem to be a little bit behind with the times, because I'm doing them as a block and then releasing them one at a time as we go to try and keep up. So that's that. So what am I going to discuss today, or what are we going to do today? I finished another 6 Babylonian infantry with spears. I'm very pleased with them. They've come out quite nice, and that's my 2nd regiment, which finishes the spearmen. And then I'll be moving on to some other figures that I've been painting, mostly Babylonians, I think, and I hope you'll like those as well. So I'll show you those. So I'll show you those 6 figures in a minute. In actual fact, I'll show you the 2 regiments in a minute. My table is a bit of a mess. I haven't had time to clear it up, so that's where I'm at. But I will get round to clearing it up at some point. Also, I'm going to be talking my journey back into time, to look at the first king of Assyria, Tudia, and which many of you know and now know that as that's my search has led me further in to Sumer, or the Sumerian history, and so what I'll be doing is I'll be talking about Sumer and Mesopotamia, and about how trade has developed. And trade is big. I know, it might sound like, oh, that's not wargaming, but because I'm going to be doing campaigns, it will be related, because a lot of the confrontations back then were about people having the best bits of land to various commodities, and so trade was very important and became very militaristic. So that's why I'm doing that. So I thought I'd just fill you in on why I'm doing that. Okay, shall we have a look at these soldiers and see what they look like? I'll have to zoom in, so bear with me. Whoops. Right, and I'll just zoom in slowly but surely. I do apologise for not being very professional at this. Right. Right. So there's the 6 figures from a long shot. Make sure all that, yeah. So I've got these ones have some different shields. So there's a little bit of a mix. 2 different types of shields, all from Little Big Man Studios, who I really like. I really love these shields. The transfers you get from Little Big Man Studios, I think are excellent. Let's just zoom in and you know. Oops. There we are. Just come up. Right. I hope that's focusing okay. Let me just put my glasses on. Sorry. Oh, that seems okay, yeah. So, where's the first one? Must be that one. There we are. Right, so there he is. It's a very similar pattern. Those of you who have been following this know that I've been using this very simple pattern for the majority of my Babylonian troops. So yeah, so he's come out quite well. Quite pleased with him. He can go on the stand. Same with this guy, although now this guy's got a slightly different pattern. Alright, completely different pattern. What are you on about? Slightly different pattern. I don't know if you can see. I'm going to bring him in. I don't know if you can see now that pattern. I'm quite pleased with that. Yeah. So that's him done there. Let me just move along a bit. And he can go on the movement tray with his mates. This one's very similar like to the first one. Well, very similar, identical virtually. Same pattern. Red and blue with a white and blue trim, which I'm using for the Babylonians. This one, which I've bored you with before in past figures, checker pattern on the tunic, and I really like that. I'm going to bring it in a little bit so you can have a better look. No, I love that check. Very pleased with that. Okay, have a look at that shield. Bear with me. Oh, I love that shield. Yeah, it's not focusing because my big hand's in the way. Okay. Right, move over just a little bit. A little bit more. Right, 2 shields the same there, you can see. Pattern slightly different. You can see from there. Yeah, and so he's done. And then the last one is the same old pattern, like which most of them have got, which is that stripes that in the middle on the lower half and the upper half, and then on the sleeves, and the shield you've seen before. In actual fact, there was 6 figures I did all with exactly the same shield, so I will have to mix them up at some point. And so let me just, that's my 2 Babylonian regiments of spearmen, and I've got to say I'm not unhappy with them. Let me just, I'm out, there they are, look, they're out. There's the 2 regiments side by side, ready to take on those dastardly Assyrians. Although, to be fair, what I've been reading about the Assyrians, I quite, I'm not a bloodthirsty bunch, but I quite like, I've got a bit of a soft spot for the Assyrians, because I do get the feeling that everybody at that time was pretty bloodthirsty. They were just better at it. You know, what can you say? Yeah, so there's my 2 regiments. Shall I come out a little bit more? No, come out. Now, yeah. So there's my 2 regiments. Like I say, very pleased with that. Yeah. So what I think I'll do, because normally I come back to me at this point, but because I am pleased with that, let me just come in a bit. And then we'll go on that one there. Just a minute. There we are. Right, so you can see there's the 1st regiment. Whilst I'm chatting about trade, I'll let you look at them rather than looking at my face, even though I have got a tan. One of the reasons I don't particularly want you to look at my face at the moment is because I put a lot of flipping weight on over that holiday, so I'm not overly pleased about that. Yeah, so I'm quite pleased with him. Right, so now Sumerian, the Middle East, ancient Middle East. And trade. So I've made some notes here. So I'm gonna read off and then discuss those notes. Okay. So by the time of the Uruk period, 41,000. 4,100 to 2,900 BC. The volume of trade goods transported along the canals and rivers of southern Mesopotamia facilitated the rise of many large temple-centered cities with populations of over 10,000 people, which had centralized administrations and employed specialized workers. Now, this does go back into what I was saying about how this all links into my campaigns that I want to do, because any population, whether they're civilized or not, any population has a certain amount of troops, a certain amount of people who can be used as troops, but also a certain amount of people who need to be used as particular workers. And of course, you have your volunteers from any village or city who could be drafted at any particular time. But they would have to have some knowledge of military tactics and techniques. So not everybody. This is what I'm getting at. Not everybody could go off to war. See what I'm saying? So because you've got a civilization with 10,000 people, that doesn't mean you've got 10,000 troops. That means you've got 10,000 people. I think, I seem to remember, and if anybody knows better than me about this, please let me know, because then I'll know. I seem to remember there was mention once about generally 10% of any population are able to bear arms. So that would be so if there was a population of 10,000 people, 1,000 of those people would be able to go to war. Now, when things got desperate, of course, more would be drafted, or not necessarily more. What was left would be drafted, so younger, older people. But generally, I believe that sounds about right, because 1,000 men. Back in ancient times would be quite a large army. Would be a large army. Would be a very large army, in fact. So that kind of works, and that does sort of also, if I'm doing a campaign, and I want my campaign to be quite in depth. Looking at the cities that are being attacked, or who are pursuing some form of vendetta or whatever against another city. Not everybody's going to be leaving that city to go to war. Some of them have to keep working in order to keep the food and trade going. Yeah. It is fairly certain that it was during the Uruk period that Sumerian cities began to make use of slave labour captured from the hill countries, and there is ample evidence of captured slaves as workers in the earliest texts. For example, a bill of sale of a man slave in Shurapak, Sumerian tablet, 2600 BC. The Sumerians, So that's just proof of they were using slaves that long ago. and quite local as well, quite local to them. Not not bringing them in from the other side of the world, obviously, because they didn't have that they didn't have that travelling expertise, if you like. So we're really talking about ships, aren't we? The ships were basic compared to what we would look at now. Even if we went back 300 years, Middle Eastern shipping would be very, very basic compared to that. Which I perhaps I should do something about sailing and that for the Middle East. That might be interesting. Yeah, so that's so we have that proof about this hillsmen being used as slaves. Sumerians used slaves, although they were not a major part of the economy. Slave women worked as weavers, pressers, millers, and porters. So not, although they were helpful, they weren't, they weren't the mainstay at that time. Yeah, and there is, there was someone I was listening to the other day, a historian, and he was saying it was along the lines of that. Although initially slave trade is good. Don't say that wrong. Slave trade is good for the people who are taking slaves, because they're able to increase their productivity in various areas. But the other thing that happens is it also slows down development and progress, because if you've got 100 slaves who are prepared to turn a mill, for example, all you're really paying on those slaves is food and water. There's the cost is minimal, especially if you take into text the fact that they're producing flour for bread. So you're going to get your money back anyway, even if you're feeding them. But what it does is it stops technology, it stops you moving on, because there's no reason to move on to the next stage. This is my thinking. This is a historian I was listening to, and it made sense. It made sense to me. So I think you can get to a stage where owning slaves, and I'm thinking about the Sumerians, will actually hold you back, because you're not going to, there's no need to move on to the next stage. Does that? I hope that makes sense. If anyone disagrees with me, well, you know the format. So just drop me a line and let me know what you think. But when I was listening to that historian, that did make sense to me. Yeah. Anyway, get down a little bit more. There isn't a lot on this trading, but I just wanted to get a little bit of flavour of it. The Europe period, exported by Sumerian traders and colonists like that found at Tel Brak. Oh, I see, yeah. Colonials. Yeah. Had an effect on all surrounding peoples, who gradually evolved their own comparable competing economies and cultures. Well, that's no different from what it is now, is it? We are learning from each other all the time. I would argue that most of the world learns most of what it knows now from the West, because we are the most advanced society at the moment. That would be my argument. You might not agree, and that's up to you, but that's where I would be coming from at the moment. And that would be the same with the Sumerians. If they were the most advanced, people would copy them. Then the Assyrians, they would be copied, and the ancient Greeks, the Persians, Romans, so on and so forth. Every new generation and culture is copied and taken the best things from there. Discoveries of goods from faraway locations in Anatolia and Lapis Lazuli. I have no idea where that is. I'll have to find out. As far as Afghanistan, beads. Right. So it's just saying from far and wide is the long and short of this. Beads from different places. Bahrain, it's got here, and several seals inscribed with the Indus Valley script suggests a remarkably wide-ranging network of ancient trade centres on the Persian Gulf. So it's just saying that trade was like for the Middle East was was it, compared to now, quite a large trade area. You know, if you consider what they were using, you know, mules, donkeys, camels, the very primitive boats, you know, some with sails. They're not going to be as advanced as we are now, but you know, even with that, they were still able to increase their trade significantly. Imports to Ur came from many parts of the world. In particular, the metals of all types had to be imported. So bronze, you know, mostly at this stage, very important. So would have had to have been imported from other areas. The Epic of Gilgamesh refers to trade with faraway lands for goods such as wood that were scarce in Mesopotamia, in particular cedar from Lebanon, which was a very prized item. The finding of resin in the tomb of Queen Puebi at Ur indicates it was traded from as far away as Mozambique. My goodness! So that's quite a journey for anybody, and that'd be quite a journey now, let alone then. Yeah. So what I'm trying to do there is point out how important trade was through history, and also how it will be affected by the campaigns that I'm going to do, because without, you know, like without the wood, without the metal, the precious metals, the Sumerians and then later the Assyrians, Anatolians and Persians and such, they wouldn't be able to make the weapons that they used in order to forge the empires that they had. You know, empires, I'm talking about Assyria at this point, because that's who I'm concentrating on. So yeah, so I think that I've covered what I needed to cover. I will be doing another. I'll come back to just come back on me. I had a haircut before I went on holiday. To make full use of the tan. So what I'm going to do, I've got some more videos coming up. Something that happened to a chap who had his own video, but it was taken off YouTube, and I want to share that with you. So I'm going to do that in the next video. So I'll speak to you soon. All the best. Bye.